Hello, Amaka.
Afternoon, afternoon.
How are you?
I'm wonderful, thank you. How are you? God, it's early in the morning. Wow.
My sister, you're in London. I beg. You're
It's still
complaining
early.
about what
It's still early.
exactly?
It's still early.
Be-
It's still early. It's still
Yeah,
early.
it's too early. Okay, it's I've been up since 5, and that's way too early for me. I'm like, God, why am I up?
You
But
morning people get
like,
on my nerves.
I'm not gonna complain because we know why I'm up. So, Amaka, we can't just dominate this conversation. We've got Shannon here, we've got Andrew here,
Lovely
and
to meet you guys.
we'd like you to introduce yourself, tell us what you do.
Absolutely. Lovely to meet you guys. Thank you so much for inviting me here. So my name is Amaka Ndirika. I'm the CEO of Sign for Success. It's a management consultancy firm. So I'm basically your go-to person for anything when it comes to access, to networking, to basically fostering relationships between businesses, clients, brands, you name it, I have it. So that's me in a nutshell.
Okay, slogan. Tell slogan. You name it, I got it. Y'all
There
hear
you
this
go.
pitch? Pay attention. All right, so tell us what made you decide to get into project management because a lot of people are very, very interested.
What got me into project management? To be fair, I've been doing this for over 10, 12 years, if I remember. And I have an IT background, so I've got a degree in computer science, bachelor's. And I said, I'm going to dabble into IT. Let me see what do I excel in. Started off coding, hated it. I don't know who people who do that. If you do it, more power to you. I can't do it. Yeah. I went into website design, hated it, moved on, said I can't do it. Where does my skill set lie? And my skill set lies in getting things done, keeping organized, making sure that everybody knows what they're doing. And that's how I started off my project management journey. I've been doing it going across different industries from banking, finance, I'm trying to think automotive, I'm trying to think there's another one, health and something else. But anything to do with IT, you name it, I've done it. I'm that person. And now I've managed to go all the way up to program manager level.
What is that? What is program manager level?
So in
Start from
terms
the
of
basics.
the
Like, talk to me like I'm a 5-year-old. Start from the very beginning.
so in terms of program management, in terms of a life cycle, doing a full career path, you start off at the bottom, which I did, the absolute pits of the pits. And that was as a senior support analyst, and this was for a healthcare company. And basically, it's logging tickets, analyzing issues, finding out what's wrong with the product itself. And from there, I was given the opportunity to basically become an implementation consultant. And what that does is it's like it's akin to project support, and that is where I really kickstarted my program management career path. And how it goes is you start off as project support, then or you could be project support, project coordinator, however you want to call it, then a junior PM, then a project manager, then a senior project manager, then a program manager, then head of projects, and then CTO. So I'm nearly there, people, nearly there. Two more steps, nearly there. But a program manager is basically somebody that manages multiple projects and multiple project managers. That's what a program
Okay.
manager is.
I like the breakdown. I like that breakdown. So, um, for someone like me who, I'm not organized like that, what would you say? I'm not organized. I call you. So,
No
what?
comments. No
Yeah,
comments.
listen, you don't play to your weaknesses. I know my weakness. I am not that organized person. I am that person with 1,000 ideas, but I'm not that organizer.
That's why you
So,
have a team.
there you go. So, what would you say to someone, who's interested in project management? What skill set should they even begin with? Because I know I'm not organized. So, for me to now to go organize other people, is that even possible?
No, absolutely not. The role of the project manager is basically to make sure everybody knows what they're doing at all points in time, and for you to be abreast and aware of everything that's happening, who's involved, and also being very, very smart at delegating. You're not meant to take on every single thing by yourself. You are essentially understanding what your project entails, how to deliver it, and it gets broken down into different categories from finance to governance to many different things. But you need to be organized. You need to have great communication skills because you are going to be talking to everyone and anyone, and they need to be able to either come to you or be able to look for you if they need to come to you, if that makes sense. You need to have amazing stakeholder management as well because you're going to be speaking to different levels within the business depending on your project. And if you don't have stakeholder management, especially myself, who's always an escalation point, everything's going to break down. I'm trying to think what else. Organized, communication skills, stakeholder management. It all depends if you want to be a technical project manager or not. Some people are, some people are not. I'm technical, so it's always important to have some form of technical work experience as well, depending on the applications that you'll be working with. So I'm very IT focused, so I've done quite a few things within the technical space and basically doing personal training to make sure that I'm ahead of the curve. And also when certain people within my team are having conversations, I'm not looking at them like, what are you talking about? I don't understand those type of things, you know? I'm trying to think what else. To be fair, those are the top three I would give. I would also say risk management and being amazing at documentation. Documentation is your friend when it comes to project management. Without it, everything is gonna it's gonna go all right. You can always refer back to documentation, so you have to be great on it. So I'll give you those five.
Yeah, I wanted to ask, what does a day look like to you as a project manager? What does a day look like?
Okay, so in terms of my, how do I explain this? Depending on what project I'm on, so usually I work within the global space. So it all depends on if my project is in different countries. This project I'm working on right now is in Canada. So I have a sleuth of emails from every issue that's happened in Canada the night before that I have to now catch up on. But essentially, a day in the life would be um, trying to resolve any issues from the night before, working on reporting essentially, because that is a huge part of it, and that has to go to senior stakeholders on a daily basis. Making sure that the team are aware of what they're doing. So that includes stand ups if you're working in an agile format, in an agile environment, or essentially a team meeting to ensure that everybody's aware of what work needs to be done, but it's not in an agile format, an agile environment. um, Basically chasing certain people within the business to ensure that I have everything that's needed to be able to report to the client as well. I'm trying to think. A lot of reporting, a lot of data, a lot of reporting, a lot of that. Even now, I'm looking at it. I can see a project that's outstanding for me. Project calls as well. So there will definitely be client meetings and internal meetings if it's to resolve any issues that may have arisen or to monitor the progress of how the project is being delivered. So that's a day in a life. And firefighting. It's always something. Firefighting.
Go right ahead, Andrew.
I'm calling from Canada, so I'm so curious about your experience with Canadians. But would
Hello. I know you guys are just waking up. I can see the emails pinging away.
oh no. So what if someone maybe doesn't have your superpowers or doesn't have access to a project manager, but they're doing their own thing, like an entrepreneur, or working within a business, but doesn't have that sort of access to a project manager? What's a project management skill or tool, maybe a couple of those that people you think are underused or could get started with to be more organized or advance their own projects without that the kind of level of expertise you have?
Can I just say, right, things are so much more easier for all of you guys if you're not a project manager. You have a lot of applications now that help you organize yourself, and you can actually work solo. It just all depends on how much time you can invest in actually learning the application. So hopefully they should give me some money for this, but let me plug Monday, Jira, and I'm trying to think if there's any other one, Trello. So in terms of from ease of use for an end user, Trello is the absolute easiest one. It's basically a project management tool. And what it allows you to do is to create to-dos, meetings, categorize any information that's needed, allows you to just basically brain dump anything that you need to get done can be put into Trello, It's an application on the phone, it's an application on the laptop as well. You can plug everything in there, you can refer to it, you can organize it. That would help you. And that would basically kickstart your project management in terms of the skill set that is needed. It's all about being organized and also delegating as well. Monday is the exact same thing, and so is Jira. Jira is a bit more advanced. So in terms of ease, it would go Trello, Monday, and Jira. Jira is usually used in IT format and is obviously used on enterprise level, but you can use it as a single use for an entrepreneur. But it's basically to track issues for any products releases. It goes way more complicated, but if as an entrepreneur, I would advise you to use Monday and Trello, and both are free as well.
Thank you. Thank you.
No worries.
Yeah, that's super helpful. So then, when it comes to like everyday stuff, I know you talked about what you do in the day in the life of the software that people could use, right? So now on an everyday basis, when you walk into your day, like what is the first thing that you're checking for?
My emails. I need to know what's on fire that I need to essentially put out first. It's always my emails. Before I go into any chats, I have to look at the emails, especially because I work across different time zones with different countries. So something that may have happened the night before when I was offline, I need to make sure that I'm on top of it for this morning, especially if it's an escalation as well.
What is your idea of like, for you? I know like everyone's like, oh, a client, every client is a good client. No. what, what is yeah, you see where I'm going with this question? What is your idea of a good client? And I'm not saying like we would put people and say, oh, you're the best type of client that there is to have, but what is the things that you look for, good or bad?
Best type of client has unlimited budget and leaves me alone.
Listen.
I'm just saying that would be the ideal, perfect client ever. But
You're like, bring the cash, put it on the table, and walk out the door with the
and leave
instructions.
me
Thank you
alone.
so much.
Leave me alone. That's it. But in all seriousness, a good client is somebody that trusts your capabilities and your abilities as well. Um, doesn't micromanage or nitpick in terms of reporting, financials, things like that. Communication is key. I would definitely say a client that is responsive and not reactive. I say that because when you have certain projects that you need to deliver and they are responsive but they're reactive to every single change, it causes disruption and also it makes things so much more complicated than it needs to be. So I'll give you an example. I'm working on a Windows 11 rollout for a client, and it's basically upgrading all users from Windows 10 to Windows 11. And there is a set of end user communications that need to be sent to each end user, and things have been signed off. All the comms have been signed off, but because they've run into a couple of, how do I call them, non-computer literate end users, we're constantly changing end user comms to make sure that it's user friendly. However, this can cause complications because you're changing everything, and this has to now be translated into English, French, Spanish, and German. And all of those things have to be done simultaneously while we're in the middle of a live rollout. And you can imagine that can cause confusion for those that need to translate, or something can be missed, and it's a lot of back and forth emails, and not everything gets signed off because they're panicking, all of those things. So you need to have a responsive but not a reactive client. That is a very good client. Also, someone that trusts your delivery standpoint. So if they ask you for advice on something, they respect and trust that you are making the right decision and not just saying anything for the sake of kind of just passing it off type of thing. If you have a client that has that type of trust, you're able to do repeat business with them. And a really good client is someone that recommends you. They see the amazing work that you've done, they give you good feedback, and then they now recommend you either for more work where you're able to upsell, or they recommend you to another new client. That is a very good client. And unlimited budget. Yeah.
Back to that again. All right. So when I think about project management, right?
Mhm.
Oh, Andrew has a question. Oh, you want okay.
Go ahead, please, when you're done. Yeah.
Yeah. When I think about project management, I think about AI right now, right?
Mhm.
And of course, the topic for everyone is how will my job be impacted? You know, and as a project manager, how do you see your job being impacted?
The hot topic of the day, the hot
Yeah,
topic of the week, the hot topic of the year. Let's not even say week.
right.
Um, Everybody is worried about AI, and they have every right to be. Um, the projects that I'm working on now, they're really, what's the word? They're trying to emphasize incorporating AI, but they're not pushing on it. And as much as I'm quote unquote fearful of AI, um, I've started to embrace it because it's making my life a bit easier. It is. It is making my life a bit easier. So I'll give you an example of something I've done to embrace it. All the meetings I have, from client meetings to internal meetings, I have Copilot on. Even if I'm not working on a project with my day to day and I'm working on my business, I have Fireflies.ai. Yeah, Fireflies.ai. Yes, that one. That is basically what it does meeting minutes. It summarizes all my meeting minutes. It follows up on actions for me. It also highlights the mood and the temperament in the room of all the active participants. It also highlights the the timings within a meeting where you may want to refer back to I don't know how to explain it. The timings within a meeting where you may want to refer back to a screenshot being shared or somebody highlighting something on a screen and say you can refer back to that. And the best thing, it translates into, I remember, 50 different languages. That's Fireflies.ai. In terms of Copilot, which again, these companies should be giving money for this, all the shout outs.
You should tell them I'm
Fireflies.ai.
advertising you. Please give me my discount.
Fireflies.ai. There's another one, but I can't remember off the top of my head, but I know Fireflies definitely. I am starting to dabble into Copilot. And with Copilot, it's very interesting because it's incorporated within an enterprise level. And what it does is it studies the entire organization, and you can create prompts within Copilot to actually do certain things within the organization. So for my organization, I can ask it to, I don't know, create a particular policy on a global change that needs to be pushed out for this rollout that I'm doing, but base it on my organization and its values. And what it will do is it will scan everything within my organization, its policies, its values, everything, all its standards and frameworks, and actually create that policy specifically molded for my organization, which is very good. I'm still dabbling on Copilot. It's a work in progress. You know, you can ask it to create certain things. One thing it cannot do, which I found out, is it can't record meetings, which is something I need to raise. I don't know if they can yet, but I'm, again, still dabbling in it. I'm quite new, maybe a week in. And the reason I say that is if, for example, I'm training a new starter and I have to go through financials, for example, some people work off visual aids. So it's all well and good that Copilot can do a meeting summary and then it can highlight certain key points, but it can't show me or pinpoint exactly this is the particular file. This is the particular screen that you need to look at, things like that. However, Fireflies can do that. Um, but the good thing that Copilot can do is when you reference a particular file, it will incorporate that into the meeting's summary and add the link as well, which is fantastic. But to answer the question, I'm trying to embrace it, but I'm also wary of it cannot take over my job as a project manager because you still need the human element of making sure everybody knows what's happening, what needs to be done, and if there's any escalations, things like that. You can't get rid of that human aspect. As much as someone can try, you can't do that. However, it can make my life easier, creating reportings, summarizing things, creating documentation as well. It can do all of that.
Thank you. And interesting that you ended on that human element piece, because that's the question that I had for you, was to go back to you mention that stakeholder management is key. And a question we often get in the AWIC community is like the difference people can make when they don't yet in their career have that like formal authority. So can you tell us a bit more about stakeholder management, and then how can someone start to do it well if they don't have like the formal influence or authority to tell people to do stuff?
No problem. I would say a lot of project managers, you didn't hear it from me, a lot of project managers, um, they embrace imposter syndrome. Um, you don't have to be this huge, bubbly person to be a good project manager. You just need to be organized. You need to be able to communicate well. Um, I would definitely say, when it comes to stakeholder management, always implement KYC to know your client and understand how they work, the ways of working, and always survey their working style as well. So whenever I enter a new project, for example, I don't come in and ask a barrage of questions. I don't come in and basically enforce a bunch of rules, even though I am the leader. Put it there. I always sit back and understand the dynamics, how the team work, and also how the client works as well. And I then suggest improvements. There is a way of wording, language, body style, communication style as well that helps when it comes to stakeholder management. Some stakeholders can be very, very difficult. Very, very, however, it's because one, I found out they need to feel comfortable that they know you know what you're doing. Two, they're just like that. There's something like that. Three, they have this seniority level where if anything goes wrong, it falls on their head. So they need to make sure that whoever is taking over a project, for example, they have full confidence in. And if they don't have that full confidence, that's when micromanagement comes into place. That's how they'll continue to nitpick and all of those things. Once you've mastered that, and also learning how they communicate, if there's somebody that constantly picks up the phone because they need to escalate an issue, work with them on it, but also lay in concerns. If there's somebody that is always sending an email, you can send a summary. You don't have to consistently send an email. There's a way of knowing your client, adapting, but also suggesting improvements. And then when you now build that trust, that client relationship trust, trust me, it gets easier. But you don't have to have the biggest bubbly personality to be a project manager at all.
Wow, thanks. Like, I gotta say, the part that's most surprising to me is when you come in, you don't berate people with survey questions first. It's sit back and observe. Like in product development, we often say BOC is greater than VOC. Like, it's more important to see behavior of customer than to ask what they, would say they would do.
People hate
POC.
questions. People hate too many questions, especially when you're new and you're in a brand new team. They'll say, "Who's this asking all these questions?" Blah, 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 blah. They hate that. I always say,
Yeah.
refer to documentation. Documentation is your best friend because you can see what's happened in the past. Or if there's a lack of documentation, you can see this is where the gap is. And this is where you can start suggesting things.
Yeah, amazing. Thanks. And welcome, Precious and Edna. We want to make sure everyone's asking questions here.
Hello.
If people have a project ongoing they'd like some input on, this is a rare opportunity.
Okay, so here's this, right? Because I know you're super creative, right? So how do you balance your creativity when managing diverse teams or cross-functional teams, right? And as a project manager, I mean, you kind of get thrown into a lot of things, so it requires your creativity to get everybody on board. So how do you do that? Tell us your secrets.
You have to pay me for that. You have to pay me.
Here we go. You start. I ask a simple question, project man. I don't know. That's going to cost you a few
We
$100s,
talking money, we talking numbers,
right?
data
Right.
is money. But how do I manage what the different dynamics within a team, the different personalities? Mm,
I
it's
think that
imp-
some personalities are so overwhelming. Like, there's always that one in the crowd that thinks they know everything more than the project manager.
One? One?
Do tell, do tell.
I'm the type of person, I don't know how to explain it. The type of personality that I have and the fact that I don't come in all authoritative, it receptive wise is always positive. There's always going to be that one person, and it's usually either a counterpart or somebody that is somewhat senior. So I'll give you an example. I've come in as a program lead to roll out Microsoft Teams within an organization I was with, and that was for 120,000 end users. And I'm working side by side by the product owner. So the product owner, he owns the entire product. He's the one that manages the releases, how the product is formed, etc. Blah, blah, blah. I'm side by side with him as a project lead to basically deliver this project in different phases. And he already doesn't like me. Immediately doesn't like me for whatever reason. I think because I was breathing too hard. I don't know. And the things is that he's already been labeled the troublesome type in terms of knowing everything but doesn't want any assistance. But it's the approach that I had in terms of, again, not being authoritative, even though you are the product owner, I do have the final say on how this is delivered because it's all on my head. I have to now manage the stakeholders. You manage the product, I manage the stakeholders, I manage the project, I manage how it gets delivered, who it gets delivered to, and the rate of success as well. He appreciated the fact that I didn't come in guns blazing telling him what to do. That was the first part. He respected the fact that I was able to bring everyone together. And one key skill in being a project manager is you have to be able to listen to everybody. You need to essentially foster a safe space that all your team members can basically come to you, whether it's negative or positive, that they can share how they're feeling, for example. And we used to do this in, I forgot the agile ceremony. I've forgotten. It's been a minute. There's a particular agile ceremony that we undergo, and it's basically reviewing each of the sprint cycles, how it's been, what we could have done, what we could have done better as well, and how to improve for the next sprint cycle. It'll come back to me in a second. But you have to be able to create a safe space for all your team members to be able to come to you, whether positive or negative, and also show that you're a team player. It is so important. As soon as they just smell it, that you are there for yourself and not for the team, that is how conflict starts. And that was how I was able to win him over, showing that I'm collaborative. Also, I'm here to help, not to take over. We're meant to be partners in this, and I'm helping you make your life easier. When somebody realizes that, their whole mood changes, their whole attitude changes, everything changes with them. I promise you that. There's always going to be resistance at first because a lot of people are very resistant to change. But when they realize that you're an ally, trust me, everything goes smooth.
So, I mean, I believe you because I could see how you work. So what is the one advice that you would give for someone that's looking into project management, and where should they go um, in order to receive that training?
So I'm going to be a bit controversial here, right? And I'm saying this, I'm saying this from experience. Do not, please, do not think project management is going to get the certification and immediately you're going to get a job as a project manager. I'm going to be very controversial with that. There's a difference between experience versus certification. And that's why I said I'm going to be controversial here. There are many people that have gone to get the certification, but it doesn't mean you can actually deliver a project. I would say the first piece of training is use applications around you, use the tools around you. There's YouTube, there's Udemy, There's another. I'm trying to think of what course it is. There's a lot of tools that basically show you how to deliver a project. And then try and actually deliver projects personally before you go professionally, so you can understand how you work, what you can improve on, steps that may be missing, for example, as well, how to manage a team, just certain personal projects you can do to build your experience and your confidence as well. Because you need to be confident as a project manager to be able to deliver and say, this is what's happening, this is what I'm reporting on, this is what we need to do, things like that. You can also use, what is that website to pick up small projects? Fiverr. Yes, I remember. Fiverr, so it's Fiverr. That is an amazing, call it a job board type of place, a job board marketplace. It's basically to pick up any type of projects around the world, and people would basically bid on a project. I would say using Fiverr, you can work on a small project and building your confidence before you then get into the professional space. Yeah, I would say those things.
Go ahead, Shannon.
What do you think makes you stand out as a project manager? Sorry.
I always deliver. Honestly, that is I say that confidently. I always deliver. If I say I'm going to do something, I do it. I under promise and over deliver, and that is a key skill to have. Don't come in and say I'm going to do this, that, and then you fall flat. And yes, I always deliver. Also, and hopefully Annie would attest to this, I leave a lasting impression. So every organization I've worked with, everyone that I've met, they can definitely say they remember me. Whether good or bad, I don't know. Whether good or bad, I don't know. But hopefully always good. But leaving a lasting impression. And I will definitely say within this project management space, a lot of projects that I've worked on has been with people that have recommended me. They've worked with me and they said, yeah, we need her back, bring her back. And or somebody has said, oh, I need you to do this for me because I know that you worked with this particular person, and I had nothing but praises. And when you move around a lot, you run into people that you used to work with. Word travels fast, so leaving a lasting impression, a positive one, I was checking for. Leaving a lasting impression, it gets you places, it opens doors. Recommendations always help.
Wow. So you've dropped like so much gems. So let me try to chop this up a little, right? Which
Yep.
is can't even do it because once again, I'm not the project manager. But number one, we got to get paid. It helps to have a good budget. When you don't have a good budget, it's just good for you to have a good project manager who could bring the team
100%.
and the team together, essentially.
They're just going to cause more problems. So know your value, know your worth, get paid.
Right. So let me ask you this question, right? Because we've circled around project management and, why you entered project management, what kind of skill sets you need, and you've gave recommendations on, some of the things you've used and what you recommend, right? So now let's just go to the basics of, just being human. Like, what do you do when you're not doing 1,000 projects with 10 different people? Because I think I appreciate you coming on here today. And just so everyone knows, Amaka is very active in the tech space. She goes to certain events to represent certain people. I know for me, she's gone to Ireland to represent African women in tech as one of her projects. She's also helped us organize things during Web Summit, and we're going to be organizing more things during Web Summit once I officially turn it over, because I'm one of those people that's like, okay, I've got this. And I'm like, okay, I need help. Hello?
She doesn't do it before, it's always after, but we're not going to speak about that.
We're not going to speak about that. So, outside of like the work things, what are the things that you like to do and what are the things that bring you peace? And, what do you recommend for people who keep such a hectic schedule like yourself, having, people say work-life balance, but what works for you? And what do you recommend for people like you?
Oh, very good question. My situation's a bit unique, so I will share. I'm a mum as well. Um, Luckily, my son is older, so doesn't impact my movements per se. Per se. Um, Work-life balance. You know what? Just you mentioning that, it is so key because one thing that people do not appreciate is we can work, but what are you working for? What's the end goal? Is it to just be rich and retire when you're tired? Oh, that was a word. Oh, sorry, I didn't even know I came up with that. I revel in the fact that I can confidently say I have found about 80% work-life balance. And the reason why I quantify it like that is that 20% you always have to have a margin. Something may happen, life may happen, things like that. But how do I find peace? First of all, enjoying life. If anybody knows me, I am the minister of enjoyment, self-proclaimed, all of that. I'm the networking extraordinaire when it comes to my business, but I'm also the minister of enjoyment. I'm very unapologetic about going to places and doing things that make me happy. Whether it's going to the theatre, whether it's traveling, even when I'm traveling for work, I always find pockets of pleasure because it can't all just be about work. And that is the fastest way that anybody can burn out. And trust me, from somebody that has burnt out before, burnout is the most unproductive version of yourself ever. You never want to get to that. You want to be able to say, right, if I'm focused for a certain period of time, I need to find things for me to unwind. I need to find things that my brain doesn't have to be switched on. I need to find things where I'm not constantly thinking about the next step when it comes to work or business. It's just about living in that moment and enjoying yourself. And also, time is a constraint. We only have a certain limited amount of time. So, how are you spending each of your 24 hours? Is it just consistent work and that's it? One thing I do enjoy doing, and I would implore everybody to do, is every month kind of just look back at what were the things that really made me happy and could I have done more and get rid of the excuses. One thing people know about me is my motto is sleep when I die. So, regardless, I may be working, but I'll still find time to do those things that find me a semblance of peace. Whether it's watching a movie with my son, whether it's traveling to a new country, whether it's going to enjoy a really good event with some key people around me as well, whether it's just literally picking up the phone to go and gist, just little things, whether it's cooking, all of those things. I would say I implore you to make sure you find that balance because burnout is a big thing that we don't speak enough about. And you don't always have to be switched on. Know when to just say, it's okay, I need to give myself grace.
I love it. Thank you so much for summarizing that. I don't know if anyone has any more questions, but we try not to hold y'all hostage because it's meant to be for office hours. So, I don't know if anyone has any last questions before we close out because people come and go. And I don't know what part of the coming and going they caught, but I just want to thank you so much for taking the time to come visit us. We want you to come visit us again.
No problem, no problem. I will definitely try to.
Yeah, and I know you're working on some very interesting projects that you can't discuss right now. So I'd like you to come back and follow up on those projects once
I'm going
they.
to tell you about the progress of them, where we are. The
Yes.
nitty.
Yes, we want the nitty gritty. So, but once again, thank you so much for coming on here because it's essential for us. These will be posted back on the website so people can have access to the information that you shared today. So for us, this is a great meeting. It's great for Q&A. Now we can see what project management is all about through your eyes. So thank you for sharing your experience and for being here today. And for all those that joined us, we look forward to having this session again next week. If you're here today, feel free to drop by anytime because we try to keep this for at least 45 minutes at most, and we know people are busy. So, but this is once a week, the same time. Look forward to seeing you again on AWID Hub. Everyone have a wonderful day.
Thank you. Bye. Thank you for having me.
Bye.